For sure. And with Chelsea, there are reports that Chelsea are in talks with Qatar Airways and two other airlines about a front of shirt sponsorship. How important is it for them to agree a deal? I mean, it's pretty crazy for a club like Chelsea to not have a front of shirt sponsorship.
Well, you'd think now with the results, and they've had a decent start to the season, that there's going to be somebody out there going to sign up and get them the deal that they need. Clearlake and Bowley have both hung out for to get the levels they wanted to. If they get what they want at the end, then they'll be justified in having done that. So we'll see, but I would expect that to be tied up pretty soon. And like you, I'm surprised it hasn't already been done for the start of the season. But hopefully, the feeling and the emotion around Chelsea is a lot more positive than it was just a few weeks ago, and that's the sort of thing that sponsors often look at and get a feeling for before they commit. So let's hope they get it done.
And can you remind us why they don't currently have a front of shirt sponsorship?
Well, I think it was this is my own supposition, is that because they had set a valuation in their mind of what they thought the shirt was worth, and they couldn't get a sponsor to pay it. And so rather than give it away or reduce the level, they'd rather stick and get to the right level that they think its commercial value is. And I think that's where we're at right now, and they're probably in the final stages of a negotiation to try and get to the number that they would have already had in their forecasts that they think they need to achieve. And I'm sure it'll be a big number. I mean, it's a big West London club, and it's right next to, not far from Heathrow. It's on the West London side, so it's a very valuable shirt sponsorship. As I say, now that there's a bit of a turn in the results, then I think sponsors might now be prepared to jump in the water at the right price that Chelsea want.
And could we see a front of shirt sponsor happen mid-season? So one week they'd be with no sponsor, and then next week they could have a sponsor on their shirt?
Yes, absolutely. It could change at any time, provided it's registered with the Premier League, and you can do that, as I understand it. So no reason not to. So I think they'd like to see that in there, as the sponsor would as well. I mean, they will get a good bang for their buck, even coming in this part of the season. So they're going to be building up to the big numbers around Christmas time as well. So it's a good time to get this done.
And we've already spoken a bit about the APT case, but Chelsea are another one that this could kind of affect them, especially their sponsorship for the front of their shirt. Hence why Infinite Athlete deal didn't take place last season. How many other clubs like Chelsea, like Newcastle, Manchester City, do we expect to be really affected by this APT ruling? Because I know it doesn't affect all of them.
Well, what's going to be interesting, I think, is when we see all the gambling companies off the shirts at the end of the season. That's going to be a problem, and so there's going to be a big, a lot of shirt real estate ready to be back on the marketplace, and so it's going to be those clubs will be searching for any related parties that they can do to try and get the maximum value, and so the market's going to readjust because there's been certainly for the if you like, the bottom 10 clubs, it's been gambling companies that have been the main go-to, and there's been a sort of a standard sort of level of fee that they've paid for it. Now we're going to have to be reinventing that whole marketplace. And so it's going to have to be related parties, I think, in many areas who will be looking at this. And we're going to have to see what these new rules are, if there are any new rules after the Man City case. And clubs will have to adjust their sponsorship case around that. So it's going to be an interesting time because it is still one of the important levels of revenue.
And Clearlake Capital are bringing in David Beeston as managing director. What might this mean for Todd Bowley or the rest of the Chelsea situation? Obviously, there's been some unrest between the two.
Well, yeah, just a few weeks ago, Will, we spoke about how they were at each other's throats between Clearlake and Todd Bowley. But that seems to have thawed. It's amazing what a few wins can do, not only in the dressing room, but also in the boardroom. And it does seem that peace has broken out to a degree that now they're starting to get some wins on the board. They will have known themselves it's a bad look to have that sort of becoming the story as well. So hopefully they've resolved that issue between them. But the new chief executive, the new situation. There's obviously a lot of politics still going on behind the scenes at Stamford Bridge, and whether there is still a control battle. I don't know. I'm not close enough to find out, but that would seem to be that they'd have to have both parties agreeing to a new chief executive, I would hope, and they both give him his backing because there's a lot still to be done for Chelsea, obviously.